Crocodilians are primarily known for being mostly aquatic, ambush predators, with the exception of the false gharial, which is an omnivore. They're also known to be carnivorous, or at least omnivorous, with only one documented case of a herbivorous crocodilian, the snail-eating spectacled caiman. That is until now because we have discovered a new herbivorous crocodilian from prehistoric China that may just change all of this. So let's talk about this animal. But first things first, like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. This animal is called Chimaerasuchus paradoxus. It's a member of the group crocodylomorpha, and it's specifically part of a group called notosuchia. If those names sound familiar, that's probably because you've heard of some of the most famous crocodilians, such as crocodiles, alligators, caimans, and of course, dinosaurs, which are all part of these groups. But while crocodilians are mostly well known for being large predatory animals, many of them were quite small and some of them were actually herbivores. Chimaerasuchus was one of these animals. When it comes to size, Chimaerasuchus was very small, reaching lengths of around 1 meter. The holotype of the species, which is its original specimen, was even smaller, measuring only 73 centimeters long. To put this into perspective, an average American alligator can reach lengths of up to 4.6 meters. So Chimaerasuchus was much smaller. This animal was described as having a narrow skull with elongated jaws and teeth that were more closely spaced towards the back of the mouth. However, it had no teeth on the front of its upper jaw. Its lower jaw had teeth throughout, but they were reduced in size towards the front of the mouth. These features suggest that Chimaerasuchus had a specialized diet and that it didn't use its teeth to capture and manipulate prey. And since it was found alongside fish remains, scientists believe that it was adapted to consume small aquatic prey. But wait a second, if it was adapted to eat fish, then wouldn't it be a carnivore? Well, yes, that's what you would think, but this is where things get interesting. See, not all ancient crocodilians had the same diet. In fact, there were several herbivorous crocodilians living during the late Triassic and early Jurassic periods, such as Erpetosuchus and the aforementioned casuarine. These animals ate plants, algae, and other vegetation, much like today's false gharial. Chimaerasuchus was likely one of these animals as well, which makes it the first herbivorous crocodilian to be discovered in East Asia and the first one from the Cretaceous period. Despite its small size, Chimaerasuchus would have been an apex predator in its ecosystem, similar to how modern-day dwarf crocodiles are apex predators in their environments. You see, even though they're small, they're still very efficient hunters, and there's not much that will prey on them. Thus, they sit at the top of the food chain. So while it was small, it was still an important member of its ecosystem. So far, fossils of Chimaerasuchus have only been found in the Shandong and Henan provinces of eastern China. These two areas were both located within the ancient continent of Laurasia, which is the main reason why this animal is so special. You see, unlike most other members of its clade, Notosuchia, which were found in a supercontinent called Gondwana, Chimaerasuchus lived in a Laurasia continent, which means that it expanded the geographic range of its clade. It also means that it was likely a descendant of an ancient group of crocodilians that managed to make their way from Europe to Asia, along with the other Laurasian animals during the Early Cretaceous period. And speaking of the Early Cretaceous, this animal is known from the Yixian Formation in China. This formation is famous for preserving many dinosaurs such as Microraptor and Sinosauropteryx. It also contains fossils from mammals, birds, and many other types of animals. The rocks in this area were dated as being around 120 million years old, making them around 20 million years younger than the rocks where the famous Sinosauropteryx was found. This suggests that Sinosauchus may have lived after the first dinosaurs arrived in China, but before they diversified and dominated the land. The discovery of Chimaerasuchus brings the total number of crocodilian species from the Yixian Formation to 6. There are 3 species of phytosaurs, 2 species of crocodilians, and one species of Rauisuchid. Rauisuchids were a diverse group of meat-eating archosaurs that were related to both crocodiles and dinosaurs. Interestingly, the 6 crocodilian species from the Yixian Formation represent 3 different feeding strategies. 2 of them were piscivorous, meaning that they ate fish. 1 of them was an omnivore, and the other 2 were herbivores. This suggests that the ecological roles of crocodilians were already diverse during the Early Cretaceous, despite them being relatively small compared to their modern-day relatives. Now, here's the thing. We know that Chimaerasuchus was likely a herbivore, but we don't know exactly what it ate. The fossil record doesn't tell us that, but we do know that it likely ate aquatic plants. Maybe it spent its days looking for aquatic vegetation and its nights hiding among the water lilies, munching on their flowers and leaves. Or perhaps it filtered aquatic vegetation and plankton out of the water using its narrow jaws. Regardless of what it ate, it was likely an important part of its ecosystem, even if it was small and seemingly insignificant. But don't let its size fool you. Just because Chimaerasuchus was small doesn't mean that it wasn't an important member of its ecosystem. In fact, small animals play vital roles in many ecosystems today, and they likely did the same back then. Take our wetlands, for example. Their burrows help to aerate the soil, which helps plants to grow. They also eat aquatic vegetation, which helps to keep it under control. Without them, our wetlands would be overrun with vegetation, and the animals that depend on them would have nowhere to go. Small crocodilians like Chimaerasuchus likely filled similar roles in their ecosystems, even if they weren't as flashy as the dinosaurs. Unfortunately for Chimaerasuchus, its time on Earth was relatively short-lived. The Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event, which you probably know as the asteroid impact, wiped out not only dinosaurs but most of the planet's biodiversity. The impact caused massive climate change and sea levels fell dramatically, leading to widespread ecological devastation. Most crocodilians managed to survive this event, but Chimaerasuchus was likely among the unlucky few that went extinct. Still, its legacy lives on through its relatives today, reminding us that even the smallest creatures can play a big role in their ecosystems. If you enjoyed learning about this animal, then make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. With that said, I'll see you next time. Bye.